All right, let's get right into it. Today we're talking about a really startling new cyber threat, one that actually hijacks the very architecture of the blockchain to create a new kind of malware that is, well, it's almost unstoppable. It's called ether hiding, and believe me, it's a major escalation in digital warfare. So let's dive in and see how this thing actually works.
So, get this. This is how Google described the technique. Next generation bulletproof hosting. Now that's a phrase that should make anyone in cybersecurity just sit right up and pay attention. It points to a level of resilience that we really haven't seen before, because it's repurposing the core features of blockchain for something truly malicious.
So, who's behind this? Well, the activity is being tracked back to a group called UNC5342, and they've got links to North Korea. And like a lot of these state-sponsored groups, they're basically after two things: classic cyber espionage and, maybe more importantly, cold, hard cash through stealing cryptocurrency.
And here's the real kicker. We see clever new malware techniques all the time, but this is the first time we've seen a state-sponsored actor jump on this specific method. It's a huge sign that the game is changing and the tools that the bad guys are using are getting way more sophisticated.
Hey, don't just take my word for it. As Robert Wallace from Mandiant over at Google Cloud put it, this signals a serious escalation. We're now seeing nation-states use techniques that are fundamentally designed to be impossible to take down and super easy to modify for new attacks. This isn't just another virus, it's a whole strategic shift.
So what exactly is ether hiding? How does it manage to be so tough, so resilient? Let's break down how they're hiding this stuff in what's supposed to be a completely transparent public ledger.
Okay. At its core, ether hiding is all about stealth. The attackers take their malicious code and embed it directly inside what's called a smart contract, which is really just a little self-executing program that lives on the blockchain. Then they deploy that contract to a public network, like Ethereum, where it just sits there, completely hidden in plain sight, waiting for the call.
Now, this is what's so clever about the whole attack. By putting their code on a public blockchain, the attackers basically turn the entire network into a decentralized dead drop. Think about it. There's no single server for law enforcement to find and shut down. The infrastructure is everywhere and nowhere, all at the same time.
And this isn't just some crazy theory, okay? UNC5342 has been actively using ether hiding in a pretty long-running campaign they've nicknamed Contagious Interview. So let's look at how this attack goes from a simple online message to a full-blown system compromise. It all starts with some good old-fashioned social engineering. An attacker pretends to be a recruiter and hits up a target on LinkedIn. From there, they try to move the chat to somewhere more private, like Telegram or Discord. Then comes the hook. They offer a job assessment, which is really just a malicious script. The second the victim runs it, the whole infection chain kicks off, and the goal is always the same: steal sensitive data and crypto assets. And this isn't a simple one-and-done kind of thing. No, it's a multi-stage attack. It starts with an initial downloader, often disguised as a totally normal software package. Then a piece of malware called Beavertail comes in, and its job is to steal credentials. After that, Jade Snow connects to the blockchain to pull down the final payload, Invisible Ferret. And this thing is a powerful backdoor designed for long-term data theft, specifically targeting crypto wallets like MetaMask and Phantom, and even your password managers like 1Password. So, we've seen what it is, we've seen how it works, but why is everyone calling this a game changer? What really makes it so different from the thousands of other threats that are already out there?
This, right here, this really tells the whole story. Traditionally, malware is hosted on a central server. You find the server, you shut it down, problem solved. But with ether hiding, the server is the decentralized blockchain itself, spread across thousands of computers all over the world. There's nothing to take down. It's fundamentally built to be resistant to that.
So it really boils down to three huge problems for defenders. First, that extreme takedown resistance we just talked about. Second, the attacker stays anonymous. Because blockchain transactions are pseudonymous, it's incredibly hard to figure out who actually deployed the code. And third, flexibility. The attacker can update their malicious payload at any time, for any reason, completely changing the attack on the fly.
And how much does all this incredible power and flexibility cost the attacker? The average gas fee, that's the cost to make a change on the blockchain, to update their malware is just $1.37. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, they can pivot their entire attack. It's just insanely efficient.
Now, with a threat this sophisticated, you might think the only defense is some equally high-tech solution.
But the reality is, the most effective defense actually starts with something much more basic: the human element.
Just think back to that contagious interview attack. That whole incredibly complex chain of blockchain-hosted malware is unlocked by one simple conversation. The entire thing depends on tricking a person into running a file. And that means our awareness is still our first and our best line of defense.
So what can you actually do about it? Well, the takeaway here is that basic cyber hygiene is more critical than ever. Be suspicious of unsolicited job offers, especially if they're pushing you to download or run some kind of test. Never, ever execute code from a source you don't 100% trust. And given what this malware is after, it's absolutely crucial to lock down your crypto wallets and password managers.
And all of this really leaves us with one huge, kind of scary question. Ether hiding isn't just a new piece of malware. It's a proof of concept for a whole new era of cyber threats. As our world becomes more and more decentralized, how do we fight an enemy that has no head to cut off, no server to unplug, and no single point of failure? That's the challenge we're all facing now. Thanks for tuning in.